Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Shuup webcast. It's the end of October, and we have beautiful weather here. It's just a few days before the holiday season, and we're really excited because many people get their marketplaces done just, in time for a holiday season, so they can start selling then. And there's so many things to discuss. So Wes had his own ideas about marketplaces during holiday seasons, but one question that we get asked quite frequently is about marketplace integrations, and this is why we're talking about this today. I'd like to remind everybody that my name is Daria, and today we have Wes. Wes is our Shuup Technical Sales Director. Wes, would you like to say hello?
Hello, Daria.
Wes is doing his sexy voice. I like it. So, Wes, take it away.
Yeah, I was instructed not to be too technical on a technical topic. So largely, like Daria wanted me to talk about integrations, and I guess we should start from like what they actually are. So integration is like a sharing of information, data that between two existing services to enhance the functionality of one or both of the services. What an integration is not is a CSV, XLX, or like Excel importer. So oftentimes people get on the phone call with, sales reps from, tech companies say, oh yes, we have integrations with 500 companies. We're amazing. What they really mean is that they can just take an Excel importer from 500 different companies, and like, that isn't actually, it's not actually integration. So that's just an import tool, which is very useful, but not an integration. The typical integrations that we use are these API integrations. So one that was very popular in the 90s and into the mid 2000s was the SOAP API. It was an XML based system. REST sort of took over from that, and it was a JSON based API. Shuup currently uses a REST API for extending and integrating services. And then more recently, GraphQL was released by Facebook, which is its whole interesting topic. So I would probably recommend, if you are a developer and you want to talk about APIs, like we can do a real deep dive into these. I just want to give like non-technical people sort of a quick overview of like the technology side of it. The reason why you want to do this is really to share information seamlessly. So we can talk about some examples of this later on. The other reason you want to use this is if you're building like a microservice architecture where you're basically splitting functionality of your overall application between 5 or 6 SaaS services or web applications. It's becoming more common to see this these days.
I see. So let's start with shipping.
So yeah, our default, our go-to shipping integration is with Shippo. Go shippo.com if you want to check them out. We also have a simpler integration with ShipStation. If people prefer that provider, they can always reach out to a sales rep and ask some questions, and we can get a technical call going if need be. But really, what we want to know is when you place an order on a marketplace, right? The expectation is that the vendor is actually going to send you the product, that you'll get it. And then the question that we usually get from our vendors and their admins is, how do we, send our product and track these things? So Shuup's solution to this is that we integrate with third parties. Shuup is an e-commerce platform, a multi-vendor e-commerce platform. And, we want to rely on...
Yeah. I accidentally switched it to the next slide.
Click back. So,
doesn't.
Oh, we'll go back. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry about that. IT issues. So largely the way the Shippo works is that when an order is placed, we send off the order details to Shippo, specifically the weight of the parcel, and that is then converted into basically a shipping label and a cost that's sent back to Shuup with the cost. So we can dynamically make these shipping labels from providers such as USPS, UPS, FedEx, DHL. If you're in Deutschland, you can use Deutsche Post. If you're more of an international customer, like all of the major carriers, such as I mentioned before, USPS or UPS and FedEx, their international little carrier groups are there as well. And then once the actual order is placed, like you can pull in your shipping label, you can print it from Shuup, you can track the status of the package through Shuup. So we try to keep as much functionality inside of Shuup as possible. But this is sort of the interesting thing about integrations, which maybe we want to sum up in the end, is that an integration can be very shallow, very superficial if you're using these sort of personified terms. So we should, this is an important thing we discuss when we're just working on integrations, how deep we want to go, blending the two together during the process. So I guess we should go to the next. Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I do have a question. What if a marketplace admin, person who is building the marketplace for themselves, they want to use any other kind of shipping integration? Are you able to do that with Shuup?
Well, can you give me like a little more detailed example?
Yeah, well, let's say they used to have a marketplace and they had an integration, but not with Shippo, with something else. Will it go as a custom integration then?
Well,
or is Shippo like the biggest provider there is?
Well, Shippo and ShipStation, they're clearinghouses for shipping carriers.
Mm.
So imagine that a customer comes to us and say, "Hey Wes, like we want to have like the U.S. Postal Service as our only mail carrier."
Mm-hmm.
I say, "Okay, we'll build an API integration with the United States Postal Service, USPS for short." I've been using USPS before, but just clarifying, we're talking about the U.S. Postal Service. We could build that direct integration, but then you're only ever going to get the USPS shipping options. So when we were evaluating whether or not like who we want to do our shipping integration with, Shippo and ShipStation were basically new on the market and providing these services of allowing you to use them as basically a shipping channel manager, where they would take care of the actual integration directly with USPS, FedEx, UPS, and DHL. Mm-hmm. So we would only have to build and maintain one integration. So it really comes down to like operational costs. It's much easier for Shuup to maintain one code base for Shippo, mm-hmm. and build that very, very deeply than build 4 integrations with 4 different carriers that are not as functional, much shallower in functionality.
I see. So what's best for Shuup is best and cheaper for its customers.
Well, we try to align, our motivations and our driving factors as much as we can. There are costs associated additional to your standard shipping methods with Shippo. Shippo has to make its money as well. But largely what you paying Shippo for is to use them as your clearinghouse for all of these different shipping methods. You don't really have to worry about it anymore, which provides a lot of value actually to the platform administrator. So each vendor themselves can put in their own account details with all these different providers. They can get their own custom shipping rates that they negotiate with all these shipping carriers themselves as well. It's really that if you think about trying to build a very deeply integrated service, it's a little bit more efficient to do it through a service like Shippo or ShipStation than building one for each carrier in the world. And there are a lot of carriers.
Right. I see the value of it.
Yeah.
Well, moving on finally to the next slide. And this is the topic we have kind of touched before, taxation. It's very broad and complicated. But let's just go through it one more time and discuss integrations with the platforms that are handling taxes for our customers.
Yeah, so TaxJar is our go-to right now. Full transparency, we haven't done an integration with Avalara. I would say that Avalara is more of the Rolls-Royce choice between the two. They have a longer track record with sales tax consulting, sales tax services. Because they're in a different price point, they're more expensive. So usually, like we work with a lot of entrepreneurs who want something a little more cost effective. That's where TaxJar comes in. So TaxJar is, I would say generally, it is just the tax calculating system and tax reporting system. So we send order information out during checkout about the order and the contents of the order. We run those through TaxJar. TaxJar calculates the rates based on the vendor's location and the customer's location. And from here, we can track the nexus laws to help our admins stay tax compliant.
So is Taxture just for American businesses, or is it international?
It's a service designed for U.S. businesses, but if you're an international business wanting to do sales in the United States, I mean, these governments are still, state governments are going to want their piece of the pie. You know, you're not, you know, you don't get freedom from U.S. taxes because you're not in the country. So.
Yeah, that's good to know for all those outside the US who want to do business in the US. Should we move on?
Yeah.
And now payment integrations.
Yeah, so these are generally the most complicated. Not well, for a lot of reasons, but you know, a primary one is that, you know, payment methods can never fail. Like, imagine that you go to an e-commerce site and you try to check out, and you know, there's an issue with your credit card, like the integration failed, money was sent to the wrong place. People are get really angry when you don't handle their money correctly. So I'd say that for any integration, if we spend 1 hour in development time with a payment integration, we probably spend 1.6 or maybe even double the amount of hours, because not only do we have to build the integration, you have to build the testing modules to test the integration, which is a cost that a lot of customers don't really understand when they are asking for integration work. Because imagine I come to you and I say, like, you know, I mowed your lawn, and you look at your window and you say, well, it's not mowed. Like, you didn't mow my lawn. Like, you're basically looking out the window and testing into making sure that, you know, the lawn is mowed. You have to do the same thing with integrations as well. You have to have some sort of system to look out the window and see if the lawn was mowed. That is what our testing modules that we built for these are for, and we have to dedicate hours to build these windows. For simpler integrations that maybe are not so critical for business operations, such as like pushing CRM contact details, we'll still try to get full code coverage, but maybe we won't be as detail oriented, because, you know, if there's a hiccup during contact transfer and, like, you know, you're missing like an extension on an email domain, that's going to be a headache, but it's not going to ruin your business. So if we talk about these Stripe and PayPal in a little bit more detail, how they work, you know, so we use the Stripe Connect method for funding vendors. We have many ways we can configure this to send funds straight to vendors, straight to the admin, share a cut with the vendor and the admin on sale. So there's, you know, you largely during the specification process, you just need to tell your sales rep or, you know, your project manager how you want the funds to be split. We can arrange it. So the Stripe integration really touches at the checkout to actually capture and, you know, retrieve the funds and then deposit into your Stripe. And then once the funds are in Stripe, we do as much of the transferring that we can within Stripe itself. We don't want people to, you know, incur extra transactions, moving money around. The next thing is with PayPal. This is more or less a capture and authorization system that we have, where payment goes directly to the admin. This more advanced logic of splitting funds between the vendor and between the admin doesn't currently exist within the Shuup integration. It's mostly because, you know, 9 times out of 10, our customers want to use Stripe. I would say PayPal is good for payment processing, but when you want to do like sort of these detailed administrative functions with your finances and the e-commerce platform, the Stripe API endpoints give you a lot more functionality.
I see. So, and probably the last integration we're going to talk about today is emails. And I know that we've done a few integrations with MailChimp. Could you talk more about that?
About MailChimp or about our integration?
MailChimp, or just in general, what other email integrations are there, if you've done any other?
Yeah, well, MailChimp is our integration for email marketing. We don't do it internally on the platform. You know, Shuup, we are focused on being a e-commerce platform. We try to do our best to, you know, focus on that functionality. So these CRM tasks and marketing tasks, we rely on these integrations. So with MailChimp, through the transactions that occur on the marketplace through form submissions, names and emails, phone numbers, company names can be collected and compiled into contact lists. these contact lists can then be like pushed from Shuup to MailChimp to send out, marketing blasts, marketing emails. It's a pretty straightforward integration. I would say that we do not have a deep integration with MailChimp. It's really for simple retrieval of contact information.
I see. So is there anything else to add, just to, summarize the integrations and know that the platform cannot really, exist without them, because there are so many services that you cannot potentially cover just like within one marketplace. You need those integrations to exist.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people who want to use third-party services with any e-commerce platform, even if you're not buying Shuup, if you're buying Shopify or a WooCommerce marketplace, but you still want to do any of these API integrations. It really is more or less like going spelunking, like you're kind of going really deep into a cave, and at some point you have to decide when you want to stop and turn around and like be done. These integrations can just go on forever and be infinitely complex and deep, and you can build a lot of functionality with them. But the farther you go into the cave, the more resources you're going to consume, the more money you'll be spending. And ultimately, like the question I always ask your customers, like, what do you actually need? Like, do you need all of this functionality from this third-party service to be in Shuup and be able to be administrated only through Shuup, or can you use both dashboards? Because MailChimp is a email marketing platform. They're focused on doing email marketing super, super well. So like if you're willing to use their dashboard, you'll have all of their functionality. But if you tell me, well, I don't want to ever go into MailChimp ever, and I want to do absolutely everything through Shuup, I say, fantastic. Our developers are going to be so happy that we have all of this work, because you're going to be working with us for the next 2 years. Because MailChimp is like, as a platform has existed for a very long, long time. They have a lot of functionality, and to bring all of their functionality through an API into Shuup, it's like it'd be a monumental task.
Or what is just a general integration? Would you just like take contacts out of your Shuup marketplace and switch them to MailChimp, and then from MailChimp you can do your marketing and send marketing emails? Is this the one that could be like the most basic one?
Yeah, I mean this is, well, for MailChimp as an example, is the most basic one. But if we were to look at like a HubSpot or Salesforce integration, like if we think about like what their function are, like a CRM is a customer relationship management system, Shuup is an e-commerce platform. So like if you're compiling lists of contacts from various places and compiling them all to your HubSpot, Salesforce, CRMs, like, do you really need to be pushing those back out to your e-commerce platform? Like, do you need to make sure that all of your different funnels for this contact information are the same everywhere? Or is it only important that your one central hub gets all the updates from its like child or, supplemental platforms that are supporting it? So, this is what I'm describing here is a one directional like integration where we're just sending information to the CRM. So it's getting its updates and getting the information you need to do your CRM tasks. Now, if you want to, sort of try to drive your sales channels through your CRM, like, and build a channel manager, like that is, that basically means turning the direction around and making it bi-directional. So, I mean, I always tell my customers, if you want to dig into this hole and like you want to see how deep it goes, like, let's get some coffees, let's go, sit down, maybe we'll bring some sandwiches in a sleeping bag, and like we can spend a week doing this, because it gets extremely complex really fast.
But also, would it be more difficult to maintain such a marketplace that has such deep integrations with CRM systems or any other systems?
Well, and these API endpoints are not static. New versions are released, and current versions are eventually deprecated. So imagine that, like, for example, like I think Stripe has 3 versions out, and you're still on version 1 of Stripe's API, and they send you a message saying, we're deprecating this version at the end of the year. Be sure to upgrade to version 2. And then you look at all the API endpoints, and they're all a little bit different, slightly different functionality. That means you have to go through your entire code base, replace each endpoint one by one, remap the fields as necessary. Maybe your core business logic doesn't change, but like, that does become a maintenance issue long term, where when you build code in a perfect world where nothing changes and everything is the same always, like you build it once and it's done, but things change and coverage changes, and you have to be prepared to incur these costs.
All right. So the deeper your integration goes, the more you will spend also throughout the life of your marketplace on updating it.
Eventually, maybe not in the first couple of years, but your development firm will call you within 5 years and they'll say, your API integrations about to be deprecated. Do you want to upgrade?
Someone is asking if they can ask questions at this point.
Yeah.
And actually, sorry, yeah. I was just trying to move on to the question slide. And once again, I don't know why today it doesn't work just as well. I think because my microphone is not located well in QS. So yes, you can type in your questions and we'll be happy to answer whatever you need to ask about marketplaces and specifically about integrations with other platforms. Wes, thank you very much. Actually, it's been very useful. I think I understood a lot. Not in the beginning, but when we digged into more examples and more case studies and kind of layers of those integrations, that was very interesting, and I hope it will make people think about what functionality they really need on their marketplace. And I always say that simplicity is the key to everything, and you just need to simplify everything. So we'll just wait for questions.
See, to me, everything should just look beautiful. If everything looks beautiful, everyone's happy.
All right, and we have one.
Oh, we have a question. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to read it out loud. Thank you. I'm wondering if you could speak to support of subscriptions and how proration, anchor date, and subscription updates are done. Wesley?
Yes. I can answer this question. So our subscription module is dependent on the Shuup Stripes, like the Stripe subscriptions. So largely, if you wanted to prorate, so say charge only, someone canceled halfway through the month and they say, well, I want some of my money back because like this is not fair. I only spent 15 days of my 30 days. You could take the Netflix approach and say, well, you pay for a month, that's the end of it. Or if if you want to be more generous, you could always do a partial refund of services. This is definitely technical, like a very deep question on how you'd actually go about doing this.
Let's just start, let's see as you go.
Yeah.
And we hope that person who's asking this, if you don't understand something, you can always ask a follow-up question, or give us a sign that's too technical.
Yeah, on the anchor date. So the subscriptions start on the date that someone registers. So like it's basically automated. So in Shuup, for example, you could set your recurring billing on a daily, weekly, monthly, or annual basis. And it's just going to initiate on the day of the start. Now, there are like trial periods that you could set on our platform, but if you specifically want to have it where there's one date that everything starts on, then that's something custom we could probably put into the logic. The last thing is like subscription updates. When people sign up for subscriptions, they're pre-authorizing their credit card to be billed at a fixed fee. So if you want to change the actual subscription amount that they're paying, I'd probably recommend creating a new subscription product, have them, upgrade for additional services, and slowly deprecate out the previous subscription over time. If that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense to me, but hopefully Wes answered your question. And if you meant something different, then we'll be happy to provide more information. Or you can also email us at contact@shuup.com and ask all the specific questions you have. And of course, one of our experts, maybe Wes himself, will get to you. Mike, thank you for the question. Yes, this webcast will be available on replay. We normally upload them next day on YouTube, in our YouTube channel. It's Shuup Inc. And you can find it there. And if we don't have any more questions, I think we're going to head out. And I wanted to thank everybody for listening to our webcast. We'll see you again next week. And next week, we're going to have another customer case. So this will be fun.
Great.
Okay. Have a nice day, you all.